Hello and welcome back. My name is Brett. I am a Christian digital marketing consultant, and I am really excited you're here with me in this second video, and I'm also excited to get into the material. And so as we continue, I want to tell you the two major reasons I think churches aren't connecting with their audience. And the first reason is we are just talking to the wrong audience altogether, okay? And what this means is we're talking to people who we're inviting to church. We want them to come in, and we're using our marketing, we're using our services to attract these type of people. But when we look at the geographic community around us, they're just not there, or something like that. And so that's the first issue. The second issue is we're talking to the right people, okay? And you'll see, single moms is something that we kind of reference through here. That's just kind of my example, okay? But maybe we know we're talking to single moms, but the second issue we can have is we're talking to the right audience, but we're offering them services, we're meeting needs they don't have. And so that's the second issue. And so as we go through here, I want you to really think, I want you to really critical think and say, okay, am I talking with the wrong people altogether? Or am I talking to the right people and I'm just not meeting the needs they have? Because those are really the only two reasons why people aren't resonating with the message at your church. And so we want to figure out what it is, we want to hone in on it, and we want to solve it. And we're going to do that. All right, as we continue, I want to address church culture versus corporate culture. And I've had the privilege of being in both. I've worked in Christian discipleship schools. I went to Christian college for 4 years, and I've done youth ministry. I've been a youth ministry director and done Christian camps. I've also worked in sales in corporate America and different things like that. And in the church culture, we have a highly relational environment. And in the corporate culture, we have a highly rational environment. Okay. Now, in the church culture, we can frequently make decisions based on feelings because we care about people. In corporate culture, at the end of the day, if you don't make them money, they fire you, which we would say is a little harsh. But what happens is because it's all about the bottom dollar in corporate America, they make highly rational decisions. So they say, if we're not making if we're not in the black, if we're not making a profit, what do we need to change to be in the profit, to be making a profit? And they do polls and they do all kinds of studies, and then they say, okay, boom, change. And they just flip it around and then they make a profit. Okay. And so that is something I seldomly see in churches. And now I want to address this. Both hats are very important. Okay. The rational hat is very important and the emotional hat is very important. Okay. And on the business side, they miss the emotional side. They don't connect with customers because a lot of times they don't care. Okay. And it is just about making a profit. On the Christian side, on the church side, we really, really care. And sometimes to the detriment of making rational decisions and putting things in because we see the numbers, or taking things out because we see the numbers. And that can make us much more effective in our ability to share the gospel. And so as we go through this course, I am encouraging us to put on the rational hats just for the sake of decision making. And, come Sunday, I want you to take those off and I want you to be relational with people because obviously that's incredibly important. But for this reason, you're going to see the words client, you're going to see the words products and services, and we are going to purposefully look at your church as a service provider. And again, I don't want to diminish the value of sharing the gospel because that is the number one goal, hands down. Okay. Looking at this analytically supports that goal. And that's what I want to get across. And I just want to encourage you in that. So we're looking at products and services, and I want you to look at your church as a service provider. And what I mean by a service provider is people come into your church on a Sunday morning to be provided a service. Okay. Just like, I have a friend and he does paver sealing and he does, power spraying of people's houses. That's a service. People actually come into your church to participate in a service. And there are things they like about the service you provide, and there are things they don't like about the service you provide. That goes with every service. There are, children's services and youth services and maybe counseling services and community outreach services. And there are things that people really like about these things, and there are things people don't like about these things. And sometimes we miss it. And sometimes these services, as we were talking about in this previous part, and I'm just going to scroll up just a little bit right here. Sometimes these services we're targeting entirely the wrong people, and that's why they don't work. And sometimes these services are targeted the right person, but the services themselves aren't resonating with those people enough. And so those are some things that we're going to be doing. And so we're going to be using, I want you to put on your business hat. We're going to be using business words to really analyze each one of the things that your church is offering and seeing if we're talking to the right people, or to see if we're entirely talking to the wrong people. So I just wanted to make you aware of the kind of analytical business approach that we're going to take to this to make very rational, empirically based decisions. So we're going to scroll down. And the last thing we're going to talk about this is creating profiles. As you download the worksheets that are provided, I want you to actually print them off or fill them out on your computer, but actually fill them out. And as I have done this in the past, and as I have been trained in the past to do this, you fill it out and you actually put them up on a board so you can visualize who it is you're talking to. Okay, so for instance, typically, and this is how this works, typically a church should have 2 target audience profiles for the church as a whole. Okay, so say you have 500 or 700 people that come on a Sunday morning, man and woman. Who are they? Okay, and you're going to print out 2 of these papers and you're going to make 2 profiles. We've got Jim and Jan, and this is what, unless those are not appropriate names, right? Give them actual names that would apply to their culture or to whatever. And you've got Jim and Jan, and we want to know about who Jim and Jan is. How many kids does the average person in your target audience have? What is the average age of the people in your church? And so you go down here, and so you actually put a face to the people in your congregation and the people that you're talking to. And that's actually going to be the first worksheet you go into. But what this helps you to do later, and this is what we're going to do later, this actually helps you to write all of your material and focus all of your services on people in your audience, right? So for instance, if I'm offering a bingo night at my church, but they're all, 30, we could say Jim's 31 and Jan's 27, and they have 2 kids. So we're looking at young families in our church. Bingo night is going to go nowhere. And so we're going to reorient and retarget all of our services to our target audience profiles. And so I want to just encourage you to actually fill those out and don't skip them, because they're highly important, and they're going to be kind of what this whole course is going to hinge on. So fill those target audience profiles out. And I also want to just kind of say, they're not real people. They're based on the demographic data of whatever it is we're going over. So we'll have a geographic one for people living in the area. We'll have one on your church. And then ultimately we'll make one on who your actual target audience is going to be, but really fill them out, and they represent the idea of a person. So you talk as if you're talking to one person, and it's going to resonate deeply with all of the people who hear it, because as a general rule, that is the type of person who's hearing it. So that is a little bit about creating the profiles, and there's a little bit more information below about how Jesus actually tailored his message to his core audience right below the video. And I would encourage you to read that as well. And I look forward to seeing you in the next clip.